The BBC has been told of safety failings on board an Egyptian dive boat that sank in November, killing 11 people. Authorities blame the disaster on a massive wave, but one leading expert has questioned the theory. Our correspondent Joe Inwood has more.
It is almost unimaginable. 35 hours trapped here, in a boat that is slowly sinking. For Luciana, it has taken a terrible toll.
I was ready to die. And for me, to be honest, it's very weird to be alive compared to the others.
She was one of the last people to be rescued from the Sea Story, a dive boat that sank in Egypt's Red Sea. We've interviewed nearly a dozen survivors who, for the first time, have spoken of the terror of that night.
We remember looking at the boat and the boat kept sinking and we just screamed, "Swim away from the boat!"
On November the 24th, the Sea Story set off from Port Galeb, heading south for Sataya, a popular dive spot. This video was recorded just hours before the disaster, after one of the small boats slipped off the back and had to be recovered.
You know, a few of us even looked to the crew and asked, is this normal? And we sort of got shrugs. So we didn't realize the danger that we were in.
It was just before 3 in the morning.
That the boat quite roughly tilted to the right.
It kept going like this and then all of a sudden it went bang!
All the lights flickered and I sort of saw everything fall out of the cupboards, and then we were in total darkness and silence as well.
I didn't know if I was walking on the floor, on the ceiling, on the side, I didn't know where I was.
Sarah and Hisora were on opposite sides of the lower deck. Sarah's door was now on the floor, Hisora's on the ceiling.
And I could hear the water coming in the room, but I could not see it. But I could hear a lot of water coming in.
They both managed to escape into the hallway and headed for the emergency exit at the front of the boat.
And we sort of had to climb along door frames and beams and things to make our way out of the boat. Obviously, it was quite disorienting in the dark and with everything flipped, but it was very, very slippery.
While the others were escaping, Luciana, who was in this cabin, was just realizing the danger.
I think we panicked and we didn't really realize that the boat was upside down. But yeah, we jumped and almost drowned. And then we appeared in this air pocket. And that was in the fuel tanks in I'm sorry.
Hisora, Sarah, and many others made it to the upper deck.
Then I got over the side of the boat where there were some other guests holding on to the side, sort of blocking the exit. We were shouting at them to move out of the way so that we could get out the exit.
Then we had to jump in the water and I had no life jacket on, so the current was very strong. So my friend Chris got swept away one way, I was swept away another way.
And I thought if the boat was going down, we needed to get away from it so that it didn't pull us down with it.
It's thought 16 people failed to make it out of the boat. Amongst them were Luciana, her partner Christophe, and a dive guide called Yusuf.
The hull of the boat is like this, and everything is in the water, and us, we are in this little part in the corner of the hull.
And this is where they were stuck, the air pocket that trapped them for 35 hours. We had to remove our luggage, open the door, he says. Swim out here, we almost didn't make it. Meanwhile, Sarah made it to one of the 2 life rafts. She says safety essentials were missing.
We found a torch, but again, it didn't have any batteries in it. And we realized we didn't have any water or any food, despite being told that the rafts had that when we were in the briefing.
Over the next few hours, Sarah, Hisora, and 28 others were rescued and taken ashore, while Luciana and her group were stuck in the hull of the Sea Story.
And we had no communication with outside, nothing. No one's tried to see if there was someone alive in there. I was just wondering how I would prefer to die. To drown, because I would try to get out of this boat. Or if I needed to wait, to be thirsty and hungry, yeah, I was ready to die. And for me, to be honest, it's very weird to be alive compared to the others.
In total, 4 bodies were recovered from the Sea Story. Another 7 people have never been found, including Jenny Corson and Tarek Sinada from Devon. Speaking after, the Egyptian authorities were quick to blame a huge wave. We've spoken to 11 survivors. Many of them questioned that version of events.
It felt very rough on this boat, but when we were in the water, the waves weren't so big that, we weren't able to swim in them.
Those suspicions now have expert backing.
I've had a look at the available data for that region for wind conditions, and there is no way that a large wave would have caused the vessel to capsize. That really then boils down to 2 options: either pilot error, or in this case, a navigator error, or an error in the design of the vessel. The chances are it could be a combination of both.
We've tried to contact Pro Liveaboard multiple times to get their response to the survivors' claims, but they never got back to us. We also tried to put our findings to the Egyptian government, who also did not reply. This was the moment Luciana finally came ashore, after an ordeal that she says is still with her and always will be.
We are lucky to be alive, but there are so many people who didn't come back from this. And I want their family to be able to grieve